everybody. Welcome back to Carla Astrology. And tonight I have the beautiful Maria from LadyKnight of Avalon.
Hi. Hey, everybody. Doing good. Still dealing with a bit of a cough, so I hope it's not going to be too bad tonight. We'll see. I got my tea right here and my cough drops, so we'll see what happens.
You're usually prepared. I don't know too many people that aren't as prepared as you. Or should I say,
well, I can tell you why. Maybe we'll get into that. I mean, there's a reason.
I'm thinking we will.
Part of it is the Gemini.
And maybe your upbringing, a little bit of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. So I want to say hi, Ange. How are you? We have Carol.
Hi, Carol.
Nice to see you. So everybody knows that Maria and I do a lot of collaborations with each other. She's my YouTube BFF. All right. So tell me tell me about the name that you came up with for your channel.
Well, the LadyKnight of Avalon is a combination of two things. The LadyKnight comes from the time when I was in Minnesota as a foreign exchange student, like 24 years ago. My God, I'm old. And the school mascot was a knight, and the girls were called Lady Knights. And so that Lady Knight has just stuck with me since then because I always loved that. And I was also a cheerleader, a basketball cheerleader back then. So I was like wearing one of the uniforms, and I was a Lady Knight. I had like the stuff on my locker that all the sports people had, and so like the whole shebang. So yeah, that Lady Knight stuck with me. And the Avalon is because I've always been fascinated, especially as a kid, with this whole like Merlin and Avalon. And then those movies came out, the one with, was it Sam Neill? And also, and the Mist of Avalon movie and all of that. And I was just like soaking that in. And when I got my first tarot decks, the very first one I had was a Sailor Moon Major Arcana deck. And then I got the Witch's Tarot, which is a pip deck. That was a bit of a disappointment. But then the first fully illustrated 78 card deck I got was the Avalon Tarot, or in America it's called the Legend Arthurian Tarot something. And yeah, so my profile picture, the blue lady, is actually the moon card from the Avalon Tarot. And so the LadyKnight of Avalon, like that combination, just made sense to me.
It does make sense. How long have you had your channel?
This channel for tarot, I think I opened up in the summer of 2018, but I didn't start putting content, like real content on it, until January 2019. And I started with 31 Days of Tarot, as many have back then in the days. And yeah, so really January 2019 was when I started.
Wow. So you mentioned this channel. Does that mean you had other channels?
Mm-hmm. Before I had my tarot channel, I had a little bit of an arts and crafts channel that was like from 2015 all the way up to 2018, where I was like showing some craft hauls and some scrapbooking stuff that I was making. And so yeah, that was a different hobby, and I didn't want to put any tarot stuff on that channel, so I decided to keep those things separate. And so I switched over to LadyKnight of Avalon.
Wow, I love that. I don't think I've ever asked you about the other channels, so that's new to me too. So I mean, you are like brilliant when it comes to tarot. I mean, you do your homework, you're on it. What has been your tarot journey?
Well, it's been a long one with many breaks in between. So I have, like, I got my first tarot deck. That was the Sailor Moon deck, and that was in August 1999. And ever since, like, I wanted to get tarot cards before that, but that was very, very difficult to do at that time where I was from because they were not selling them there. And I was living in a small town, and we only had like 2 bookshops, and esoteric books have only slowly found their way into the bookshop in like the mid-late 90s, but there weren't any tarot decks or anything. It's not like today. And the internet was not really for shopping back then, so it was very difficult to get your hands on a tarot deck. And so when I got the first one, I was just like, yes, I finally have a tarot deck. And so I got the Sailor Moon Major Arcana deck. Then I got a like the Witch's Tarot, the Pip deck, the Avalon Tarot, and pretty soon after, in about like early 2000s, I thought, okay, at some point I need to have an RWS deck because as a tarot reader, you just need to have that.
Mhm.
But I never really connected with the version that I got because the faces in all the people were like made up of little red dots, and that was just disturbing for me. And then I also a little bit later bought the New Mythic Tarot, and that was it. I think by the time it was like 2007, that was all the decks I had accumulated until then. And that was before everything was on Amazon and you could just buy it like that and have like your cart full of decks. Hi. And so I had these 5 decks and I would just read sporadically. Like in the beginning, I would read for my family quite often. They would come to me for readings and I would read for my friends and I would read for myself. But then when I went to university in 2005, I was just focusing on my studies and everything, and also like having part-time jobs on the side to have some money. So the tarot really kind of fell into the background. And it was really, yeah, very sporadically until I found TarotTube in spring 2018. So in that time in between, I didn't buy any decks, I didn't buy any books about it, and I was just reading for family members or a friend if they asked me, but I did not have like a daily tarot practice or anything, not like today. And so, yeah, I really came back into tarot and learned all the stuff that I'm still learning and like soaking it all up since spring 2018, yeah.
Yeah. So you've never really like, it's not anything that you've done professionally.
No. I mean, I took money for it because when I was learning Reiki and I was going to Reiki sessions as a patient or a customer, I don't know what you call that. My Reiki teacher, she, like when I told her that I would do readings for people, she asked me, so do you get anything in return? And I'm like, no, I mean, they're friends and family. And she taught me, no, everything has to be in a balance. You can't just give, you also have to take. And so I then asked people that were like not immediate family or like very close friends to give me like $5 or something.
Right.
So that there was some kind of exchange. Or with very close friends and family, I would exchange favors like, hey, can you help me with this? And
Yeah.
I'll do the reading for you, things like that. So that there was some kind of balance and that it wasn't just me giving, but not getting anything back.
Yeah. Hey, back of smokes, I'll give you a read. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Yeah.
That would be me. No, I don't do that either. But so what else? I mean, because I definitely aspire to the knowledge that you have with tarot. But like we're in a community that is now like, or maybe it was before, like a witchy community. Do you do any type of practicing of that?
Oh yeah, I've been a witch all my life, basically. And I come from a family of spiritual women. And I don't know if they would necessarily call themselves witches. I mean, after I started doing that, they started doing that as well, and not finding anything bad about the name. But yeah, like my grandma, she was born on the fall equinox. Her mother, as far as we know, because my great grandma died when my grandma was 5, so we don't really have too much knowledge, but she might have been born on Halloween or the day before. And yeah, so we have like those 2 women born on those very specific days, so already having some kind of energy with them. And my grandma, she had like those dreams in the, I don't know if you know this tradition anywhere outside of Germany. It's those nights between the Christmas and January 6th. In those 12 nights, each night represents a month and the upcoming year. And in those nights, my grandma would have dreams of what would happen next year. And so she always knew how many people in her circle of friends or colleagues would die. She never knew how who it was, but she knew how many people would die. So she was always dreaming about the funerals and stuff. She also saw that I would be a girl because back then in East Germany, when my mom was pregnant with me, there was no such thing as ultrasound to find out what you're having. So you had to wait until the baby was born. And so she saw me, a girl with long hair and pink outfit on the playground. When my my aunt was pregnant, she saw a blonde boy carrying her groceries home, and my cousin, he was born blonde. And so, yeah, she always knew those things and when they would happen. And so that was her special gift. And I heard from what other people in the family said that her mother was interested in astrology and cards. And my mom, since she never knew anything about her own mom's, like my grandma's talents, like all of that came out when I started getting into that. And because in East Germany, you couldn't really talk about these things. Yeah. And so my mom, she's the one who is really good with animals and good with like the kitchen witch and gardening and stuff. My grandma was also really good with gardening. So the herbal things, that's really their thing. And for me, something about like feeling some like the empath kind of a thing, like feeling what other people that are close to me feel, like sometimes their pain or whatever. Like when my grandma, she had heart surgery, and after like a while after the surgery, she was sitting across from me in another chair, and I didn't see the scar. I've never seen it. And she was wearing something that was covering everything up. But as she was sitting there, and the surgery was maybe a couple months before that, I could exactly feel how long the scar was and where exactly it was. And it was like as if I was having that myself. So, and also like once she was dead, like getting signs from her and having other kind of like ghostly experiences with another dead family member. So that was kind of my thing. Like I always said my gift was death in a way.
Wow. That's very interesting. But so you brought that up about your upbringing, the not being acceptable.
Mm-hmm.
So what is it like for you in Germany with you know, do you have to be secret for the most part? Or?
Nowadays, not anymore, but back in East Germany. So East Germany, for those who don't know, existed from 1949 until 1989. So in those 40 years, we were our own country. And there was a very, very clear separation between church and state. And the state did not appreciate the church telling their people other things that were, you know, leading them off to different path or whatever. And so if you were a church member, you were kind of forbidden from getting certain jobs, but that was like no one really talked about it, but it was known. So that was what's happening. Or you couldn't go to university, or yeah, like higher up jobs were definitely not in the cards for you, no matter how much you studied, no matter how good your grades were. And so church, like religious people, they were kind of like second class citizens in the country, kind of. And there were like three kinds of people in East Germany. You were either a member of the party and completely supported the system, or at least played your part in it. You were not a member of the party, but not a church person either. So you were kind of like, you were keeping your head down, supporting the system, even though you weren't in the party, but you just did your job and shut up. And the church people that, you know, were kind of doing their own thing. And so that was basically how the people were. And anything spiritual was non-existent. The only way that people knew about horoscopes was if they had like relatives and friends in West Germany that would maybe send them a care package and put like a magazine in there, and there were the horoscopes for whatever week or month. And so that's how like my mom, for example, found out about the different zodiac signs and what she was. That was not known in East Germany. People didn't really talk about that.
Wow.
Yeah, it just didn't exist. And so if you were doing any kind of thing, then you definitely had to keep that quiet, because people were, they would come and get you in the middle of the night for the most ridiculous reasons,
Wow.
thinking that you were an enemy of the state. And if one neighbor had it out for you, yeah, so you definitely had to keep your head down with things like that. And my upbringing was that I learned I had to be two different people, because originally, like a kid, I just didn't really think about what I was saying. So I would just blurt out things and make my family ashamed and stuff, you know, like a typical kid. And my grandma then told me when I was still in kindergarten, you know, there's things that you can say outside of this apartment or outside of the home. And then there are things that you can say inside here with us. And you have to be really careful, because if you say the wrong thing to the wrong person, one of us might end up being taken away. So I knew that as a young child. And for me, it was very important to know that, because my grandpa, even though he was retired at the time when I got this knowledge, he worked for Border Patrol and Customs. So he was in the service, like government service. His son, my uncle, he was a captain in the military. My grandma, she was like on the school board, and my father, he was also a captain in the military. So my family was being watched, and that meant I really had to pay attention what I was saying. And they say in East Germany, every sixth person was a spy in one way or another. And so it could have been the kindergarten teacher, it could have been your next door neighbor, your best friend. For some people that were in specific jobs, like public jobs, it could have even been their spouses, and they didn't even know.
Wow. I remember you asked me like when we had first started talking, there was a movie that you told me to watch.
The Life of Others.
Yeah. And I watched it and I was just blown away. Because that was like during the Cold War, you know.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I was in grade school, you know. I mean, and that's going on in your country, and you know, we take so many things for granted.
Yeah, for the people who haven't seen the video, it's about this couple. One is a writer, and of course, writers, authors, they had to like write conforming to the state, and you know, praising it and all of that, socialism, yay. And if you wrote anything that was giving people the idea of thinking for themselves, no, don't write about that. And so, and he was with an actress, and so that was a very dangerous combination. So the entire apartment was wired, and there was a person sitting in the attic listening to that, taking notes. And that's really what happened. Like they just came into the apartment when you were not there. They would put microphones everywhere. And in East Germany, something that we didn't have a lot was like phones in our homes. So only specific like government employees had phones at home, or if you had a really important job like being a doctor and you needed to be available. But the majority of people, like us normal people, we didn't have phones. So if someone in your family had a heart attack, you better had a payphone outside nearby.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm very thankful for the freedom, even if sometimes it feels like an illusion.
Mhm.
um, it's there compared to, but like today, I mean, it's been a long time coming, and you're okay. You can have a
Yeah.
video, or I mean, you can have a YouTube channel.
Yeah. I mean, it took a while, and I think in East Germany, the spiritual scene has never really developed too much because the people here have been dealing with other things. Like, it was like going from, well, being one Germany before the war and in between the two wars, then being divided after the second war, and learning to survive in a different system, and then two countries being reunited and each one having their misgivings about the other side, and like trying to come together even after 30 years. It still kind of feels divided. And yeah, so spirituality in East Germany is still not, like, we don't have any like magic shops or anything around. There was one crystal shop here in my city, and I live in a city of over 600,000 people. That shop is gone by now. And there's no metaphysical shops or anything. You can buy tarot decks at the bookstore, but that's about it. That's as spiritual as you can find. And you can buy incense there. But I know in West Germany, that stuff is a little more common. You can find it there a lot more. But here in East Germany, people are just focused on different things.
So I have a question, because as you were talking about that, one, you're psychic. That was going to be my next question, is how openly can you practice your spirituality? The other one is, it's like, you can, where you're at, what kind of information do you get about America besides, say, talking to me? Do they cover it over there?
Okay, so the first question, like, how open can I practice stuff? I can practice it as open as I want to these days.
Okay.
I just choose not to, because I don't want, like, I keep this close to myself and only share it with, like, other spiritual people, because I don't want any negative thoughts coming my way, like, this is
Right.
such nonsense and whatever. And I don't want to have to justify myself to people who don't understand, because they just don't think that way. And that's okay. They can think whatever they want, and I'll just keep it to myself. But the ones where I notice that they're open, I will start talking to them about certain things. And what I know about America, well, before I went to America as an exchange student, my only knowledge was mostly Hollywood movies and TV shows. Something like 9210, or like all those teenage movies, like, what was this, like 16 Candles or Ferris Bueller or whatever, like all those Hollywood movies. And when I came to America, it was kind of a culture shock. I mean, I already knew what I was getting into, but it was still so different from the freedom that I had as a German, because, like, having to leave my room door open when I have my boyfriend in there is something that my mom never would have done with me. Like, if I wanted to close my door, no matter, like, if we were just like studying or whatever, like, we weren't doing anything. And like, even as a 12-year-old, if I had someone with me in my room, I would close the door. And in America, to always have to leave that open and stuff, that was very different. Or noticing the differences in how people in school are being treated by the teachers based on whether they play sports and bring the trophies, or whether they're just the normal people and don't do that. And like the sports people being able to, like, hold hands with their significant other, and us normal mere mortals were threatened with detention if we did the same thing. And like that double standard was very big where I was. And yeah, I got told off by the teacher once for kissing my boyfriend in between classes. Like, oh my gosh, shocking! I gave him a kiss. And yeah, there were a few things where I thought, well, even with everything, like in Germany, I still felt more free and like more in charge of myself. Like I really felt kind of like I had to ask permission for everything.
That's interesting. Definitely, because I guess maybe it's a different type of freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Because now, I mean, don't you think? I know we've talked about this before. Um, it's like the things that Germany is fed about America is probably not exactly what's going on in America, and vice versa.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like until you actually are talking to somebody from that country, you just
Yes.
don't really know. But we're fed stuff that media.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If you
we
want
don't.
to know something about a country, don't watch the media. Go there and don't stay in a resort where they have like entertainment 24/7. No, mix and mingle with the people. Go to a diner, just sit there, talk to people. And the best thing to do that is also traveling by yourself, if you dare to do that, depending on where you're going. Like not every place is safe, especially as a woman to travel. But yeah, go there, get into the culture, talk to people and find out what they're really about, and that will be the best experience ever. Like don't just watch movies or the news, or no, that's not a reflection of the real life.
Absolutely, and firsthand. So,
Mm-hmm.
how many times have you been to America now?
I've been, wait, my student exchange year, then twice in 2010, 6 times.
Wow, I didn't realize it was 6 times. Dang,
Yeah.
you must like us or something.
Well, I mean, I got a
Like
certain
one of
influence
us
up
really
there.
will.
I mean, this is all I could say. There's
There
a
you
certain someone,
go.
so
Yeah, yeah,
my heart lives in Minnesota.
yeah. It's beautiful there too. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I want to say thank you to everybody coming in. I love seeing you all. Thank you for the support. Um, so let's get into some like besides like witchcraft and tarot. Do you have any other types of divination that you like to use?
Mm, not really, no. I think, well, I wouldn't call for myself astrology a divination tool. I use it as like research before I do a ritual. If I want to do a witchy ritual, then I always look at the astrology to find the perfect moment for my ritual, depending on which planet is currently in which sign, and so what would be the perfect thing to do with that, or the day of the week, for example, if I want to do something where I can find more courage to fight for myself, I would do something on a Tuesday, the day of Mars. If I want to do something for healing, I'm going to do it on Wednesday for Mercury. And so I use astrology as a baseline to plan my rituals. So I don't, well, I look at the horoscope to also get to know myself better, but I don't use astrology much for anything else.
Yeah, I like astrology. I just and I know like the basics and I've always loved it, but it has its complicating moments for me that
Mm-hmm.
I'm like,
Yeah.
So Rain has asked you a question. What kind of advice would you give to someone who's new to all this custom or hasn't fully on come out with it?
Well, from my personal experience, I can only say read as much as you can. Like find out all kinds of information to then essentially narrow down what you like and what you don't like, what you feel called to, and just take it from there. And find like-minded people to maybe talk to and exchange ideas with.
Absolutely. That's good advice. Um, so like paranormal stuff, you had mentioned that earlier. So when you talk like maybe visited by your grandma or
Mm-hmm.
other people, like what kind of experience was that?
Um, It was different. Like the first time this happened, I was 14 years old, and it was someone in the family. It was my my grandma's husband, brother-in-law. So it was from my grandpa, his sister, her husband. He had died, and he didn't like my side of the family too much. And so when we went there to visit after he had died to see how she was doing, the house they were living in had actually been cursed by my grandpa's dad because he was the one who built it. And he got kicked out by his wife, and he had 4 daughters and my grandpa. And 2 of the daughters and the mom were kind of conspiring against him. And so they kicked him out. And as he was leaving the house, he turned around one last time and said, "This house isn't going to bring them any luck." And he walked away. And it's true. So people of that family, or everyone who has lived in that house afterwards, has died of an illness. No one has died of like natural causes. They all got illnesses that couldn't really be cured. They had to live with it for many years, whether it was liver, kidney, whatever kind of stuff, heart failure, you name it, and even a suicide of like everyone who has lived in that house. And yeah, so my great grandpa really put a curse on that. And when we went there, like the guy who had died in there, and he always wanted to make sure that that house would stay in his side of on his side of the family. And so his spirit was kind of like, it felt like someone was screaming at me, "This is my house. Get out. You will never get this house." And like really someone making me really uncomfortable. And like I had to get out of that house. I couldn't stay in there. Like this was I honestly doubted myself. I didn't know if I was just imagining the whole thing, but I felt so like not scared, but uneasy. I just like there was something in me that just made my skin crawl, and I just wanted to get out. I didn't want to, like, the energy in that house was really not my kind of thing. And so as I was then sitting in the car waiting for my family to say their goodbyes and everything, and the car was parked right kind of outside of the living room window, and I looked over to that window, and it was as if he was standing there laughing like, "Ha ha ha, I told you off, I showed you who's boss," kind of thing. And it seems like that satisfied him, because the next time we went there, all of that was gone. It's like he just wanted to make sure that we would not take advantage of his grieving widow and try to steal the house from under her. And once he realized that that wasn't happening, then he moved on or something.
That is interesting. You know, I told you earlier, I'm reading The Doctrine and Ritual of High Magic, and it's written by Eliphas Levi and John Michael Greer. And one of the things that has stuck with me, because right now I'm just listening, but it said that anyone that curses, it's more dangerous to the person cursing than it is who they're cursing.
Well, actually, my great grandpa, he lived a beautiful life after that. He had another wife, he had another family with her, like children, grandchildren, all of that. He lived a very happy life.
Well, his words weren't meant as a curse, is what I
and
think.
he didn't even realize that. It was my grandma who actually said, "Well, yeah, he cursed the house." I don't know if he would ever have called it that, but he was just upset. He was like, this was he felt betrayed by his family. And so, yeah.
Huh. Wow. It's a powerful thing. And it sounds like you have a lot of power, like a major magical background, you know, powerful people in your family tree. So have you experienced anything else that you would consider like paranormal?
Besides my family trying to contact me in different ways, not really. Well, I've had like dreams every once in a while of some things that then really occurred. Like I would dream of a person's name without having ever met them. or I would, knowing that this person exists, not knowing their name, but then I would dream the name exactly in the way that it was written, the spelling, or I would like have dreams that, well, they kind of like showed the future in a symbolic kind of way, like not really one-on-one, like what would really happen, but telling me like, hey, this is like what's going on. Not to the extent that my grandma had. Like I wish I would be able to do that, but only in those 12 nights, because I'm not really a big fan of dreaming, because if I dream something that upsets me, I just no, I don't really enjoy the dreaming too much, and I'm glad I don't remember most of it. But other than that, paranormal, not really.
I wanted to ask you some other things besides just the the spooky stuff, like getting back to astrology.
Mm-hmm.
So do you prefer Western, or are you into more like the progressive, everybody's talking about it, true sidereal or real sky?
Real sky. I was using Western when I didn't know there was anything else, and then I heard about Vedic, but that never really made too much sense to me because it only uses the planets up until Saturn, but not Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. So for me, that was incomplete. And then when I learned about real sky, at first my reaction was like, no, that can't be. Because in Western, I was a Cancer, and I always identified with that, and I was happy to be a Cancer, and suddenly I was supposed to be a Gemini. Hell no. Nuh-uh.
Right.
No, I'm not a Gemini, because the only Gemini people I have met until then, including my cousin and his mother and other people, were always like not my kind of people. So I didn't want to be one of them. And yeah, so coming to terms with being a Gemini, that took me some time. But what helped me was really like using it for the magical purposes, like planning my rituals and all that, and noticing, okay, this really makes sense if I go with the things that are actually in the sky instead of something that's not up to date anymore. And I started realizing that I am much more of a Gemini than I am a Cancer. And so, yeah, it's like the transition was slow, and it was with a lot of like, no, but I'm here now. I'm on the Real Sky Astrology team.
Absolutely. So you're Gemini, and then what are your rising and moon?
Yeah. So in Western, I would have been a Cancer Sun, Leo rising, Virgo moon. But now I am a Gemini Sun, and my rising and my moon are both in Leo.
I see the
fire. There's no water in there anymore.
Yeah, and it's like, whoa, that's a big fire. yeah, that's
air and fire.
Because I know you passed that face, like, I know there's something.
What are you doing now?
There.
my resting bitch face.
Yeah, that's all right. What was that? That was that phase or meme you quoted to me earlier.
Oh, I saw that. It was a meme about what was her name? The one from Game of Thrones, the bitchy one from King's Landing. Oh, what's her name? Cersei.
Oh, Cersei. Yeah.
Yeah, Cersei. And someone said like something about her resting bitch face, and she's like, "Excuse me, I don't have a resting bitch face. My face is at work, and it will rest when the work is done. Thank you."
Totally. So astrology, and that brings me to the point of something that we were talking about earlier, that you were talking about applying it to the ritual, because like we just had the 11/11, which a lot of people, I don't, twin flame thingy, or it's because I don't know a lot about it, or the Golden Gate. But if you look it up, it talks that it's in Ophiuchus. But right now, if you use like Stellarium or whatever, you can see it's not Ophiuchus that is right above us right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I totally get that. That's why, you know, if anything, using the real sky for your magical practices, because then you're going
Yeah.
to truly get that. So that's something that I want to look into. And maybe we could like maybe do a series on it later.
Yeah. Like I see videos on YouTube when they always do like, oh, this is the full moon now in whatever sign, and so this is going to happen in the world now, and this is what's going to happen in your life, pulling cards and all that stuff. And I'm just thinking, this is totally wrong energy to look into. The moon is actually over there in a different sign, so that's like, okay, I can't really watch these videos anymore.
I thought that was cute. She says, Cancer with a bad moon rising here. That's hilarious.
Oh my God.
So you said your previous channel was like a craft channel. Well, what kind of crafts do you do?
When I have time, I really enjoyed paper crafting, so like doing collage stuff, scrapbooking, and that kind of stuff. I also have like I bought all kinds of stuff. So I work with anything from like paper flowers or ribbons or whatever I can put glue on and put it somewhere. Like I would just put that on an art project, and I'm very versatile. Like when I love, for example, when someone has like a birthday or something coming up and I get to wrap a gift, I love to be creative with those kind of things, or make my own greeting cards, like all kinds of things. Like it's not really just one specific thing. Like I would just go to the dollar store that we have here, and they have like a whole arts and crafts section, and I would just buy whatever looks good. And I have so much shit, I don't even know what to do with it.
Right.
But I could open up my own craft store here still. I need to sell that stuff. It's a lot. Like and yeah, so whatever looked good, I would just buy it and be like, oh, I'll figure out what to do with it later. Later never came.
Well, do you do stuff in your spare time now? I mean, I know you're busy because you have
no, my spare time now is devoted to tarot studies, reading books, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah,
that's admirable. So tell us about your job, Maria.
Well, I work behind the camera. I am what's called a videographer. So I work behind the camera, I film stuff, I edit it, and I also do all the planning. I do interviews with people, and my place of work is an opera house.
That's amazing.
So I, like just today, before this, I was at work and we had the final dress rehearsal for a ballet premiere that's going to be tomorrow. And so I was filming that, and I'm going to put together a trailer so that people can see some little images of what's going to happen there, for example.
I love that. And Maria always is the one that if I have issues, she'll like, so you need to go here, and then you need to do this. And then I'm like, okay. I'm like, and she gets me through it every time. So let's talk about, I'm looking at my notes. You know, we're going to play word association because we've got to do
okay.
Oh, I know other people have asked this, but I don't know if I've asked you this. If you could bring back somebody from history, like the beginning of time, and have a conversation with them, who would that be?
My grandma's mother.
Your grandma's mother? Why?
Because she died in maybe like 1936 or something. And so not even my grandma really got to know her because, like I said, she was 5 when she died. And so I would love to get to know something about her life, about her as a person, the spiritual things that she might have been interested in with astrology and cards and all that kind of stuff, like really getting to know more about my family history, the family tree from before her, like her parents, grandparents, and all of that. And yeah, I would love to sit down with her.
Do you believe in reincarnation?
Yes.
So, and do you wonder if maybe like it's an ancestor thing, or do you think it's random?
What do you mean?
Like maybe being reincarnated into like your same family, or random?
I think there is, well, in my belief, the way that I see it is that there's like a system behind it, that we
Okay.
actually choose our lives. And it doesn't necessarily go into the same family, but I do believe that in our human experience, we want to have certain things that we get to know so that we can spiritually grow. And that means we choose whatever life fits with that. And in order to live that life, we need certain people in that life to help us with that. So we choose our family, we choose what kind of function they will have, how we will be connected, if they will be an important part of our life, if they will be there for a short time, and all of that. So, for example, even you and I, like in my belief, you and I made a plan to come together at some point in our lives and,
Yep.
you know, do this kind of thing. And I believe that we will choose different lives for different purposes throughout different times. Time is just a human construct. It's not on a linear kind of thing. It, like for me, it's in a circle. And so in my next incarnation, I could go to ancient Egypt. I could go to 2,000 years in the future. I could go whenever, wherever. I'm not limited to saying, okay, I'm gonna die in the year, I don't know, 2050, and so I'll be reincarnated in 2060 or whatever. So no, that's not what I believe this to be. So I believe that I will choose specific lives for specific purposes.
Lessons.
Also, if I'm going to be a man or a woman, the family dynamics, all of that, the jobs, and if I'm going to be rich or poor, all that, like the circumstances in my life, everything will be chosen. And then I'm going to come here and live that.
Absolutely. Yes, like Ange says, I also believe we choose, Maria. I also believe that we choose based on the lessons we still need to live and learn.
Oh God, I'm frozen. Am I back?
No, yep, there you are.
I'm frozen.
She says,
I see on YouTube, it's my resting bitch face. I told you I have. Oh my God.
So, Ange also says, I know in my bones that this is the last time I'll be in this form on this planet. See, I think that too, Ange. For myself, I definitely do. Yes, it's wild, but there's things
I don't know if it's going to be my last time here or if I still have other things to learn. I'm not sure.
Well, I think that it's something that we do know. You know what I mean? It's so if you don't know, then maybe there's something else that is up for you next. Who knows? But I have.
I think there's. I still don't feel like I've got the complete package.
Is what I think. But that's, you know. There she is again. Look. Can you hear me?
I'm back. Yeah, I can hear you. I can see. Yeah, my internet seems to be kind of wonky here. Even though it's at night, people should be going to bed now, but who knows? So
what's the weather like there?
Yeah, but it's actually just a few clouds in the sky, nothing too bad.
Is it cool or warm?
Well, it's like around 40 Fahrenheit here now. So, and is it like I live in Celsius, so it's 4 degrees Celsius, so it might be a little bit colder than 40.
Oh, I just seen Rhiannon came in. I was like, I seen somebody say, "Hey, Rhiannon, hi! Thank you so much for coming in." The next part of our show, our chat, is word association. And I would love it if everybody in the chat plays along. So I have new words because I don't want to repeat myself. Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. America.
Love.
Oh. Horse.
Black.
Ooh. Planet.
Earth.
Spirit.
Me.
I love it. Car.
Would love to have one again. Or in other words, freedom.
Freedom. Oh my
Or
goodness.
nowadays, expensive.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Those are good answers. And I think, I love to play that because, well, I don't know. I like to pick people's brains. So what about crystals? Do you have a favorite crystal?
I don't really work with crystals. I tried that, but I don't really pick up anything from them. I don't know what it is that this is just something that's not doing anything for me. I do have some crystals.
Sorry, I shouldn't be laughing. Maria, I love you. There
oh my
you
God.
are.
That face that I just got stuck on. Oh my
God. I know. I was like, oh, I shouldn't be laughing because her resting bitch face is so good. And then she's going.
My internet, like spirits, please come on. Let's not. This is not funny. You're not being cute.
By the way,
what was the question? Crystals.
Yes, crystals.
Yeah. So crystals, yeah, they don't really do anything for me. I don't really feel anything from them. They don't really. I don't know why. I tried. I have a selenite standing there. I have like a bracelet with things. But it's just not. So
you just don't work with them. You think they're pretty, but you just don't work with them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Because I know you. Well, what about jewelry? What do you have on right now?
This is a sigil from the Archangel Gabriel. That's my archangel. And so, yeah, I keep that because he's like my favorite. And he is the angel for people born on. Oh my God. My internet is so bad today. Anyway, so Gabriel is the archangel for people born on a Monday, which I was. He is the archangel born for people under cancer, which I used to be. And he's also the angel for people who work in communications, which I do with my job. So, yeah.
That is interesting. Did you see what Rhiannon said? She says, if you've already reached a certain resonance, you will not feel the impact as much. Crystals. Oh. Thank you. I would have
I think the only crystal, the only crystal I've ever felt something from was amethyst in a way that it helps me to get sleepy.
Wow. This right here, this is my power crystal. I swear. It's labradorite is like, and it don't matter. I've always got it around me because it's like, I don't know. I love it.
For me, it's
superpowers.
Yeah, for me, the one thing that I love to have is silver. Like that's like the metal silver. Like all my jewelry is silver. I don't wear gold jewelry or anything, but I love silver. And like necklaces, earrings, rings, whatever, all of that silver.
Do you feel like you get like some type of energy off of it? Or you
It
just
sounds
like,
weird. Like I feel more dressed, more protected
yeah,
having it. It's kind of like putting on an
weird.
armor in a way. So there's something about the metal. Yeah.
Wow. So, you said you thought that death is like like an uncanny type gift that you have.
Yeah, like if I would have to put the gifts of my family into words, like I was always joking to my family, my gift is death. Because I was like having that experience with this one dead family member who was like in his ghost form yelling at me. I was also, oh yeah, something that happened when I was 15. That great grandpa who had cursed the house, he died at the age of 89, so he was old by the time. And when he died, 14 days before that, or like 2 weeks before that, I had a dream. And in that dream, I was sitting in class, in physics class. It was Friday morning. And my mom came to get me in my dream. And we drove to his house. And he was already in his bed and about to die, and so he wanted to see me. So I went into the bedroom, sat on his bedside, and we said goodbye. And I woke up from that dream. I was crying, and I was like, "No, this can't be. This cannot be." And also, my family had not really told me that he was going into the hospital because of his lungs. He was having problems with that, and they kept that from me. And so 2 weeks later, it was December 6th, St. Nicholas Day in Germany. It was a Friday. I was sitting in that physics classroom that I saw in my dream, and all of a sudden, I started to have really bad chest pain, like someone was crushing my lungs. I couldn't breathe.
Wow.
And it came and it went, and it was like sometimes it was worse than others. And like throughout the entire school day, I was having problems with that. And then I came home, it kind of stopped. And I looked at the clock, and it was 4 in the afternoon. And I thought, okay, my mom's not going to be home for a few hours. I can just go over to my friend's house and come back for dinner. And then when I came home, my mom was sitting on the couch, and I saw that she had been crying. So I was like, "What's wrong?" And she's like, "Well, great grandpa died." And I was in disbelief. I just went into my room and changed into my home clothes. And then she was like, "Yeah, he died in the hospital." And then she made me dinner. And then as I was eating, I was telling her that the entire day I had been starting to feel like this chest pain, and it was really bad. And like at 4 p.m. In the afternoon, there was one moment when it was really bad, and then it stopped, and I've been good ever since. And she looked at me as if she'd seen a ghost,
Wow.
because he died from like his lungs giving out at 4 p.m.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, I would say that's definitely it's a gift. It truly is. And I know it's hard, but it's still a gift.
Hmm.
Um, what about guides? Do you believe that you have guides like that you communicate with or
Well, I use Gabriel as one of my guides. Like he's one of the guides that I talk to. My grandma, I'm sure she's still there, and every once in a while she's giving me the really kind of thing, or like I didn't teach you that, like you learned that better from me kind of thing. And yeah, so I don't know if her mom is also around, or other like female ancestors that I may not even had a connection with in my lifetime or in their lifetime. But I do believe there is some family watching over me. And yeah, but Gabriel is the one that I talk to.
I think that's awesome. Well, I know you believe in ghosts. What about other like fantastical type beings like werewolves and vampires? Are they just fantasy or what do you think about that? You know, mermaids, Bigfoot.
I think the fact that these creatures are mentioned throughout centuries in different cultures and stuff, there's probably something to it. But I don't know if it's exactly the kind of way that we see it in Hollywood movies.
Right.
So I think for some of these things, there might even be a very scientific explanation. Like for something that looks really scary, maybe really hairy or something, it could be like a biological, like a medical condition or something. It doesn't necessarily have to be something supernatural. And people are just scared, don't know any better, and so they will just label it as something. And yeah, the whole vampire thing, there probably are some bloodsuckers. If they're human turning into bats, probably not. But
Right.
I believe that all of these stories,
Hmm.
just like even the fairy tales from the Brothers Grimm, there's always
Yeah.
something that started that.
Uh-huh.
And we may not ever get to the starting point again to find out what that was. But I believe there's like a little bit of truth in all of that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think they still exist. They're on a different frequency, you know?
And
And
also, it's like if something happened like centuries ago, and the way that people talked about it with their knowledge that they have at that specific time, uh,
right.
then they may use words to
Yep.
describe it that would sound completely fantastical to our ears nowadays. And we would probably use very different words, but we're essentially talking about the same thing. We just don't know it because they were speaking in a different way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with that. I think that's what separates our religions or our beliefs anyway, is just how we describe it.
Yeah, words
Yeah.
matter.
Yes, absolutely. So, do you believe then that anything is innately evil or good? That there
I
are
think we
one or
all
the other?
have good and evil in us. It's just a question of how we use it. Like, but there's this one question that I really don't like. So, are you a good witch or a bad witch? Like, or people say white witch, white magic, black magic. Magic doesn't have a color. Magic is colorless. It's the intention that the practitioner puts into it.
Yes.
And so you can have good intentions, you can have ill intentions, and magic itself is just the tool that you use to make something happen. And
Mhm.
yeah, so the whole black and white magic, that completely annoys me.
So, I mean, like, do you believe demons exist?
Yeah, if I believe in angels, then naturally I have to believe in the demons as well.
Do you have a way to protect yourself if, say, somebody does have evil intentions, or if it is an otherworldly being? Do you protect yourself?
Um, Not all the time, but I think that in the way that I live my spiritual life, I have my automatic protection in the way that I like work with everything. I also like I do have my Gabriel or a pentagram as well, and I do actually wear a ring that I've been wearing since I was 15 years old. I got this one just like 3 days after my 15th birthday, and it has the, I don't know if you can, probably not, the Triskeli. It's like this three kind of thing. Let me uh, pen. Where's a pen? Here. What is it? It's this, this, this symbol.
Oh, okay.
It has that on it, like all around. There's multiple ones on that ring. And I bought this in France, in the Bretagne. So the part that was at some point belonging to like Britain, where the Celtic religion was also practiced. And so, yeah, I got this there and I've been wearing it as a symbol for my witchiness, so to speak. Like, this is the ring that I'm going to die with. Like, I don't take this ring off. The only time I've ever taken this ring off was for gym class when I was forced to take it off. And like for medical reasons, like for a surgery or something, I had to take it off. But otherwise, like I would wear this ring come what may. And so I think this is also one of the things that protects me.
More than likely.
Well,
Do you meditate daily or
no, what I have started is like sleep meditation with manifestation in it. So there's like a tons of videos on YouTube that you can put on like during the night where someone will talk specific, like there's all kinds of topics like get in touch with your spirit guides or manifest money or whatever kind of thing. So I started to do that and have just Killian, that's the English word, yeah.
yeah.
So I put these videos on my phone, put that next to my bed, and so when I listen to that, I fall asleep pretty quickly. And if it's a shorter video, I like that YouTube actually has the function that you can put it on repeat, so it like plays
Oh, yeah.
through the entire night. So it will still be playing when I wake up in the morning. And something that I started is every morning I will write down which video I was listening to or what the topic was. And at the end of the day, I will write down like what actually happened during the day, if anything that has to do with that manifestation thing, and to kind of keep track of that, to see also, I also write down if I was in a really bad mood and I noticed that, okay, my manifestation couldn't have gone anywhere. I also write that down to see what works, what doesn't work for me, to find my way of doing it, so that yeah, I can actually do something with that. So I'm experimenting with that right now.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, that's all we can do is just keep trying.
Trial and error.
Yeah, yeah. Do you have any big plans coming up? You know, I mean, regardless of your YouTube channel, like big plans coming up in your life?
Well, the biggest thing for me right now, spiritually, is that I fell down the rabbit hole of studying like the Golden Dawn stuff, and I really enjoy that. I love it so much. Like this thing right here, and putting that in combination with tarot, love it. I'm absolutely obsessed with that. Maybe obsessed has like a bad connotation to it, but I just love learning this stuff, and I have so many aha moments in there, like going through all the cards, like all the 32 paths on the tree, and with every single card and relating it back to my life so that I can actually remember what this is all about. And like I wanted to learn about the Golden Dawn for a long time, like ever since I heard about them in connection with the tarot community. And it was always something I didn't even know where to start, because there's so much. There's so many books out there. There's so much knowledge on the internet, and it's kind of overwhelming. And I'm really grateful that Zach from the Tiger's Abyss took me on as a study buddy, and that we're going through books together, chapter by chapter, and each week we have our little online meeting where we talk about these things, and just that helped me so much, because he has already 5 years of knowledge ahead of me that he's spent reading all these books. And so yeah, that really helped me to have someone to say, okay, let's start with this book, and then let's work our way up, and then try something else. And now that I'm in this, I'm kind of like, why haven't I started this earlier? This is so much fun. This is so cool. But then again, I remember, no, wait a minute. I was overwhelmed. I didn't know where to start. So it's perfectly fine that everything came to me right now at this point in my life, because now I can really appreciate it, and I'm having so much fun with it. Oh my God. Like I have this, my newest book got here. It's a bit thick. Like this would have been a complete, like, I don't want to read a big book like that kind of thing. But it's like about tarot, about the tree of life and Kabbalah and all that stuff. And I can't wait to get into this.
So Rhiannon asked if you have the big Golden Dawn book yet, but you have like a plethora of books I
I
was
got,
amazed at what you were
yeah,
saying.
I got the digital versions of those books because the actual books are so pricey,
Hmm.
especially like that Israel Regardi book. But yeah, I have it in a digital format. Haven't started it yet, but I'm working my way up to that.
Um, I think it was the first book that you were telling me about was the 32 Paths.
It's called Paths of Wisdom by
Yeah,
John Michael
Michael
Greer.
Greer. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's the
And
one that we're working on currently.
where are you at in that one?
We will meet actually in a few hours. Like it will be morning for me, evening for Zach because he's in California. And so our topic this time is Tiferet. So we started at the bottom, worked our way up, and so now we're here in the middle.
Yeah, and Maria, in our roundtable discussion, she always talks about the associations. So what is it that you think drove you to want to dive into the Golden Dawn? What is it about the tarot that made you want to dive into that?
I wanted to understand it, and I wanted to know the origin story.
And you don't.
Because and when I say origin story, I don't mean like who invented tarot at
Right.
what point in time. I mean like the way that we do tarot now
Yes.
is based on what the Gold Dawn came up with, and like they're like doing this, putting that in combination with tarot and this whole thing that comes from the Golden Dawn, like the RWS system, the Thoth, all of that. Marseille was there before. But yeah, the way that we do tarot now, everything in the tarot community is basically influenced by the Golden Dawn. This is not influenced by ancient Egyptians or anything. Let's be real, this is Golden Dawn stuff. And
Right.
so I wanted to know, what were they actually studying? So am I using the tarot in the way that it was intended for? Can I do more with tarot? Because I was getting a little bit bored with just like when you buy different tarot books that have like all the meanings of the cards in it, after a while, they all start to sound the same. And I just wanted more. And I wanted to know, what were the people who came up with this really thinking? So I
Right.
wanted to see if there was a different way to read, or if like the esoteric symbols that are in some decks but not in others. And especially since I'm a very visual person, for me the artwork of a deck is very important in my decision making of whether I'm going to purchase it or not. And I was looking at my different decks and I thought, which of these decks are actually good decks and which don't really, like, they might have pretty pictures, but they might not really do anything for me, like once I know what's really behind it. And so yeah, I just wanted to know, uh like, can I have like a second or third layer to my reading,
Hmm.
and how can I enhance my reading? Like I just wanted more. It wasn't enough for me anymore.
So do you agree with this statement then that the Golden Dawn, they did their homework, because actually the Egyptians had a different name for tarot, and I can't think of it right off the top of my head, but they had a different name that they used, and um, like Eliphas Levy and John Michael Greer, they, I'm not sure if they were in the Golden Dawn. I don't know. Maybe you
I don't
know
know.
that, but I do know that they did their homework, and so I'm assuming that these magicians or people that wanted to study magic got together and they did their homework, and then they put all that into. They said, "Okay, now you need to create a tarot deck." Is that
Mhm.
correct, or
Well, like in the Golden Dawn, it was, you also had like different levels to rise up to, and
okay?
at a certain level, you were supposed to create a deck for, study reasons and all of that. And so we do have a few decks of the Golden Dawn that we still know today, and three of those are the RWS, the Thoth, and the Paul Foster Case deck, which is the Bota Tarot. So those three are known, and those are from the Golden Dawn. And there was one like original deck by the founder of the Golden Dawn. What was it? Greg Mathers, I think it was his name. And so that deck, I think from what I read, they were able to look at it and to then come up with their own interpretation of how they wanted to draw the cards. And so the Thoth Tarot and also the Paul Foster Case deck, they're pip decks. And the RWS deck, from what we know now, is like he went a completely different way with illustrating everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, it's very interesting to look at these things and how they were created and what was in them, especially the older versions, and to compare the original notes that Israel Regardi, he gave us what was not supposed to be for the public, and gave us the book T, which has all the descriptions of the cards in them from the Golden Dawn. And so there are a few decks like the Hermetic Tarot, there's the Golden Dawn deck by Robert Wang, and then there's I think it's like Magical Golden Dawn deck or something, that follow those descriptions and have those esoteric symbols in there. And that is really interesting for studying. And then from there, looking at modern tarot decks to see, like if for some decks that I had, I was looking at the cards and I was like, why is that in there? Like what made the creator think like, oh, I'm going to put a snake here, or I'm going to put this here, or like why? Because the guidebooks, especially little white books, they don't really tell you anything of the creation process. And so that was also a reason why I wanted to go back to the starting point to find out what they all come from, and to see which of the tarot creators who is making a deck actually has some knowledge of that and incorporated that into their cards, or if it's really just taking the RWS deck and then putting a different spin on it without knowing the origin stuff.
Well, okay, so as like, I'm pretty ignorant when it comes to the Golden Dawn. I've listened to hi honey. Honey just got home.
Hi, honey.
I've listened. Maria says hi. We are live. Do you want to say hi to everybody?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Maria.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm cold. It is snowing here.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
2 days ago, it was 75.
And these are all the people that can see you, honey.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's snowing in Minnesota too, so
I'm sure
I get the pictures. So yeah, I've seen the snow. I don't envy you. We don't have snow here.
Oh, really?
No, we don't. I'd be surprised if it would snow this winter.
No kidding. It's supposed to be extra cold this year here, so we'll see.
Well,
it's nothing like a polar vortex and have negative temperatures.
Oh my God. Well, it's also Lake Superior there, so that makes it extra cold.
Right. See you later.
Bye.
Anyway, what I was wondering is the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, it wasn't just about tarot though, right? I mean,
no. It was about spiritual enlightenment, basically, like to have the ascension, basically go through that.
And so then tarot is like a byproduct of this.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, it's one of the tools. And the way that, from what I've learned so far, like they collected all kinds of stuff together from different religions and different spirituality paths and everything, and tried to combine that in a way that makes sense. And what you're supposed to do as a student of the Golden Dawn is you learn all that, and you then question it by doing the meditations and to go through all of those experiences yourself, and to then find out what what resonates with you, what doesn't. And then when you create your own deck or you do all that stuff, then you find your own path within that. So it's not like, this is the Bible, this is written down, this is how it has to be. You have to find your own way in that by working with it. And that's what I really appreciate, that it's not like, this is set in stone. No, it's like, of course, there's certain guidelines and cornerstones that you work with, but you are really free to explore yourself in that. Like because everything is so individual. When you do these meditations, like no two people are going to experience the same thing in those meditations. Even when you meet your guides or when you enter the Akashic records or whatever, everyone is going to have a different experience. So you can't really compare that, and you can't say, no, when you have the meditation, this is what you will see. That's not how the brain works.
Right. I remember reading that, like in one of the rituals, that they respect every magician's beliefs, that's part of it. So, and then you had mentioned that they, having a good Christian background was something that they were looking for.
Well, that was something like in one of the books that I have, like I was browsing through that, and it was called Scrapbook of the Golden Dawn or something. I don't remember. And it actually talked about like what you, like in order to get into the Golden Dawn, you had to be either part of a Christian religion, or at least if you weren't in church, say that you believe in God.
Yeah.
But when you actually study the Golden Dawn thing, the God that they talk about is not the old man with the long beard sitting on a throne in the sky. God is everything. God is source. God is creation. It's not a person. And that's something that I'm still working on to kind of like, I have learned from everything like TV, books, and whatever, movies, that there is God, this old man that makes the decisions, and he's father, and that's what church teaches you. Mm-hmm. And then spiritually, I believe in source energy, but it's really difficult for me to combine these two concepts and yet pull them apart and to see God as anything but that old man, even though I was never in church. But like when I hear the word God, of course, I think of a personification, but it's not that. It's not a person. And because I never liked the church God. I had really big issues with that guy. I don't like him at all. I think he's like a man-child. And so I like source energy, but to kind of like that's still something that I'm working on to find my way of accepting certain things that I have learned to not like, but like unlearn certain things that have been put in my brain.
Absolutely.
That don't need to be there. Like I don't really know how to explain it in a better way.
Well, what is that called? The syllables, the 4 syllables, that it's like the personal name of God, the
tetragrammaton.
Yes. So that is the syllables that represent God, and it's pronounced Yehovah or Yehovah.
Yahweh.
Something like that. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So, well, if that's not, what is that? If that's God and it's given him a personal name, what does that mean? I mean, can you simplify it, or is it just something I need to study?
Not really, because when you go through the tree of life, like every path has a different name, and there's a different name of God in there. So there's like so much, and something that I also don't know any of the Hebrew pronunciations. So like, don't quote me on any of those things. But yeah, everything, like when you read, for example, Paths of Wisdom by John Michael Greer, or like any other book that talks about the different paths, you will always find the different names for each path, and maybe even a description of what each of the letters stands for and all of that. Like, there's a lot in there. Like, this is an endless thing
But
to
do you
study.
think that name is symbolic of the source? Do you think that's what they're referring to?
I don't know. I've never really gone into the whole God concept yet. I'm still more working on like ground level and trying to relate the things to my own life before I
Right.
then take the next step and look at much bigger picture.
Gotcha. I was just very curious about that, and I think that when I have this lady on, I'm going to ask her. So, do your homework, Rihanna. Make sure you can tell me everything. Absolutely. I do want to pick your brain on one more thing before we get off here. Is what do you believe Atlantis was? Is.
Well, I think that it may have actually been a real place. And from all the things that I've seen so far, I favor the one that's in what is it? Northeast Africa.
Yeah.
The Eye of whatever, I don't remember what it's called, but there was one guy on YouTube who traveled there and who looked at the text from, was it Plato, and compared everything with like even the stones that he found there, the color, the whole geographical thing and everything. And to me, that makes a lot of sense because it just fits really well. And I believe that just like in ancient Egypt, for example, that this may have been a civilization that were pretty advanced.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why it was destroyed. Maybe it was natural disasters, or maybe they were advanced to a point where they basically destroyed themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but
Do you think we might be like Atlantis?
I think we're far from it.
And why?
I think that we're not that far. And I mean, we have made a lot of progress alone in the past 100 years with industrialization and everything. But I think there's still room for more technology and things like that. Or like maybe we're looking in the wrong direction. Maybe they were using energy in a different way. Like, for example, in ancient Egypt, the three pyramids in Gizeh, I don't think that they are tombstones for any pharaoh. One theory that I heard, and that kind of seems plausible the way that they explained it, is that they were power plants. And so I think that some civilizations back then, they just knew how to utilize certain things in a more or less easy kind of way compared to how difficult we make the world to be. And yeah, I think like a lot of things that maybe Tesla has invented and created and come up with and stuff, like there's something there. And if we were able to utilize that stuff and like maybe some scientists are and they're just not telling us, I don't know. But I don't know if we're making things too complicated or if it's just like we're just standing in our own way.
Yeah.
I think there's way too much arguing on this planet to really get anywhere. And like you can argue anything to death.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm more of a, hey, let's just do this kind of thing and not argue so much about it. That's why politicians never get anything done, because all they ever do is talk.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. They're in competition
There's
with each
no
other.
action behind it. It's just talk.
So what is it, Maria, that when you leave this world, what is it you want people to remember about you? What is it that your legacy, what is it you want to leave behind, and everybody, oh my gosh, this was Maria?
I hope that like if it's one thing, then maybe that I made them see things in a different way than like, or realizing there's not just one way to look at things, but maybe more than one way, and to give things a chance, even if you may not like it, but let's see what's on the other side.
Absolutely. That's beautiful. Diversity is beautiful.
Yeah.
So what do you have coming up? Are you working on anything for your channel?
Well, the next thing coming up is episode 10 of our tarot brunch. Mm-hmm. And so I got to do my homework on that one because I always got pages full of notes
oh, yes,
for that. And then also planning the next ones so that like when we're finished all the way through with all the court cards and everything. And I hope eventually, like once we're done with that, then I may pick up that series that I started, I don't know, was it 2-3 years ago or so, the Lover's Path Tarot that I really wanted to get into. And I have only filmed the first 5 cards and I wanted to go through the entire deck. So that is something that I definitely want to finish because I've started it and I don't want to leave that unfinished. And yeah, that is definitely something that I want to do.
Awesome. And you also have the Winchesters that you do that I'm your sidekick with my little...
See, I already like that's already out of my mind. That show, oh my God. I don't know if anyone here in chat is watching the Winchesters and what you think about it, but truth be told, I wouldn't be terribly upset if it got canceled.
You heard it here. Yeah.
I mean, I'm happy that Gabriel or Loki is coming back in episode 8. So I get to see the trickster again. And he's my favorite character on the show. So yeah, but other than that, I think this show is complete nonsense.
Yeah, it's just not doing it for me either. Not really. At least we got to skip a week, right? So now we have Thanksgiving coming up. Do you have anything coming up? No,
the next thing in Germany, like next week on Wednesday, is actually a church holiday, so I don't have to go to work. It's it's the day where you have to be forgiven for your sins. Like you have to like pray and mea culpa and all that stuff. And so I don't have to work. That's beautiful, even though I'm not in the church. But we do have those holidays here that are still leftovers from the church back in the days where we don't have to work, and perfectly fine with me. And then the next thing after that is Christmas.
Yes. And
well, actually, no. It's December 6th is St. Nicholas. It's where the kids always have to polish their shoes. So they put the shoes out on the night of the 5th. And then the next morning, if they have done a good job, if the shoes are clean, and if they've been good, they will find candy, treats, whatever kind of stuff in their shoes. And if they've been naughty, they will find like lots of twigs and branches put together to like a spanking kind of thing.
You know what? My sister
got that one year when I was
6 shoes when she was a kid. That's a surprise. Anyway. All right. Well, you know what? It has been lovely chatting with you. And I hope everybody likes and subscribes to your channel. If you haven't already, especially with all the good stuff coming up. And I want to thank everybody for being here this evening. And
me too.
For those that aren't here, I'm glad you're watching the replay. So I love you, Maria, very much.
Love you too.
And I want to say goodnight to everybody. And I love all you guys too. So have a good evening, everybody.
Bye.